Good afternoon. This is Tom Newedner, the conversationalist. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you've enjoyed your turkey holiday, and we're approaching our Christmas holiday. Yay! And all the other holidays that are associated with it, Kwanzaa and whatever. Listen, guys, I'm going to do something different today, right? I'm going to come on a Sunday and I'm going to preach a little bit. So you're going to be in the church, Tom, the conversationalist. And why are we coming here? Well, because we can do better. And if we can do better, we should do better, right? Simple as that. If we know what we're doing wrong, we know how to correct it. Really is that simple. It's just getting the motivation and that really strong effort to do it. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. By the way, like, subscribe, share, set up the bell, throw tomatoes at the screen. No, you don't want to ruin your screen. Whatever you want to do, send me a nastygram. I get in a lot of them, but that's okay. I like nastygrams. It promotes conversations. So let's get it on this with the elephant in the room. This guy who ran United Healthcare and got shot down, and nobody knows who this guy is. I believe that he is somebody with a lot of training who did a lot of things that make you think that he doesn't have a lot of training. But if you just look at it in its entirety, this guy had everything planned out. He's out of the city and nobody even knows where he's gone. He's left a trail for the police to follow. Who's to say he got on a bus? Who's to say he didn't have a car parked there or somebody to pick him up? I mean, all these talking heads on social media and broadcast media have all these speculations, but the truth of the matter is we don't know. We don't know the motivation for the killing. We don't know anything about this other than what we see in small frames. You don't hear his voice. He doesn't explain anything. He doesn't shout anything. You just have what you see. You understand? And what you see could be a deliberate attempt on his part to show you something else rather than who he really is. If I was going to do this, this is exactly how I would do it. I'd look like a doofus with a gun, and then everybody would be looking for a doofus with a gun, jamming, leaving his water bottle there, the pictures here and there. But you notice in the pictures, the coat's always a different color. Nobody said anything about that. One time it's like a forest green, and next time it's like a gray. So there's a lot of things that I, from my experience, see that the talking heads are not talking about. Now, as for the gentleman who died, yes, he has a family, he has a wife, he has children that loved him. I don't, people love Charlie Manson, people love Ted Bundy. I mean, he had a whole crowd of women after Ted Bundy. This guy did wrong. For whatever his motivations were, he truly did wrong. Not only did he do wrong by the way of his insured, but he did it wrong in the way of his company. This man sold stock like Nancy Pelosi, bought other stocks like Nancy Pelosi. He's no better, no worse than anybody else that does insider trading as far as that goes. But his policies not insuring people, insuring people and then not paying out for things that they were obviously insured for is inexcusable. Should he die for this? No, absolutely not. You know what he should do? You know what exactly he should do? He should, when he got his hand caught in the cookie jar, he should have made amends and started to fix the problem. But he didn't. He doubled down He brought the company from 14% rejections up to like 22%. And in some of the corporate meetings, he said he could get it up to 30 or 35% rejections. So that means they're pulling in premiums every month from millions and millions and millions and millions. How many times do I have to say millions to impress you with how many people have this insurance? And his whole object was, and he said it out loud, is to expend the least amount of money possible. If you buy insurance, you expect it to be there when you need it. I mean, I paid homeowners insurance since I was 19 years old. I'm 73. I've had one claim against me, and it was a false claim. And now I have to go through this whole production, not only to sue the person that brought the claim, but I have to sue the 6th District Court in New York State for their lack of oversight. I've got about close to $22,000 already invested in this because I'm like a dog with a bone. I won't let it go. It's injustice, and I'm going to make it right. Because if it's happening to me after some 60 years of never filing a claim, never having a claim, paying my insurance company every time, to have them treat me this way, not only the insurance company, but the courts, is just wrong here in America. Do I want to kill somebody? Yeah, maybe in the back of the mind, there's a little flame that says, oh, maybe, but I'm not going to do that. You know why I'm not going to do that? Because it's not going to resolve the issue for me. It's like the old mafia guy says, oh, he owes you money. What do you mean you're going to kill him? How much money are you going to get out of a dead man? You see how that works? You see? But I'm the type of person, I have to have my fun as long as I'm getting revenge. So I want my pound of flesh. I want to torment these people. That's why I show up outside their houses. I don't stop. I just walk up and down the sidewalk till they call the cops. Why? Because I want them to remember I'm a human being, not a number. I'm not a number in the insurance industry. I'm not a number in the courts, although they give you a docket number. And if you don't refer to it, they reject your letter. How do you like that? And there are so many formalities. Everything has to be on a form, and the form has to be precise. And it has to be filed within a certain period of time. Otherwise, you lose your right. Get that. Don't you love it? It's like the insurance company. Now, I've been sick for 13 years, almost 13. December 23rd will be my 13th year. I have learned over those 13 years, no bill comes into this house unless I look it over. Because the number of times the coding has been wrong, they've used a more generic coding than the coding that would have got them more money, and they're billing me for the difference. See how that works? All right. Enough bloviating about that. He shouldn't have died. No, he should have been convicted, and he should have made restitution. And he should have, we put these white collar criminals in jail and they get out in 18 months and they're done. How about putting these guys to fixing the problem? Put them somewhere in court order, give them a computer and say, now fix the problem you just got convicted of. Cooper is just come back from his walk. So he's rambunctious. That's my service dog. To be. We'll do a video on him because he's quite a character. All right. So guys, girls, everybody in between, understand that I don't condone murder in any situation, with one caveat. People who are threatening other people with death need a good person with a good gun to stop it. And I'll defend that till the day I die, because I understand war. I understand personal protection. I understand that it takes 20 minutes after you call 911 for a policeman to show up on your doorstep. That being said, I hope that everybody puts a heart in their prayer for this family. Okay? It's important. Do that act of kindness. Be better. Don't be this mean spirited. I don't care what happened to you, whether your grandmother died because they didn't do a test or your grandfather didn't get the regular medication that would have helped him. I don't care. I've been down this road for 13 years trying to figure out what's the best for me. I took 22 pills, and half of them were to treat the side effects of 11 other pills. And I had to work my way through that because everybody was throwing pills at me. Every doctor I saw threw 3 more prescriptions at me. It wasn't until I got a DO, a general practitioner, not an MD, a DO, who put it all together and sat me down, and we spent more than an hour. Can you imagine spending more than an hour with your doctor, going over each and every medication and making calls to all the doctor's office to find out why I was on that medicine? And the number of times people told me, well, you're taking atolodipine and this is your side effects, so we're giving you this Bombay hit for the side effects. Well, if we change the atolodipine, we get rid of 2 medicines. So they put me on labetalol, and the side effects of labetalol makes me want to go to sleep. So I take it at night. Ding. See how that works? So be your own advocate. You can complain about insurance companies. You can complain about doctors all you want. But in the end result, you take care of you. Let's get on with the topic today. But let's first say, St. Jude, God bless you. Like, subscribe, send them some dinero. Saving children from cancer and other diseases. Just saw their new advertisement for the holiday. What a great advertisement. We'll have to find it and bring it up and play it for you. It's only like about a minute and a half, but boy, it's striking. Striking. The family's telling you exactly what they have. They have transportation and housing and food, and they're there 24/7 for their child. And it doesn't cost them a dime. So God bless St. Jude. Let's get back to it. Like, subscribe, share, comment, send me an Instagram. Tom the Wedner, the conversationalist. All right, let's get into this. So we have all these people in our lives, right? And this touches home to me quite close, and I'm going to have to be a little emotional about it. But when I finally broke out of my funk almost 4 years ago and figured out I was never going to be an executive chef again, and I wasn't going to be this in control person of everything in my domain, which I still try periodically and quickly get smacked back by somebody who's learned that, paper tiger, because I got nothing behind me anymore. I had strength, I had abilities. Now I have legs that don't work, and half the time my brain doesn't. But I think I had that prior to my aortic dissection. But that's another story. So let's talk about all you misfit toys out there. Let's understand that all of us, and I mean all of us, I don't care if you're triathlete at the top of your game, 24 years old, body fat at 2%, every woman in the world falling in love with you. You have an endorsement deal with all these sneaker places, so you got tons of money. I'm including you in the misfit toys. There's not one of you out there that can say you're not a misfit toy. You know why that is? Because we all have different things going on in our lives. Even the most successful people will tell you there are areas in their lives that they're lacking. Watch Elon Musk about life with Elon. I think it's like 28 minutes video. It's excellent because he speaks about having everything but wanting the simplicity of life. If that's not a misfit toy, I don't know what is. This guy can do anything. He is, I refer to him as a mechanic, the most superior mechanic in all the world. Let's face it, shape, cars, spaceships, tunnels, anything this guy touches turns to gold because it's all mechanical. And his mind works in that genre. He sees something in his mind and he puts it together because of his advanced intelligence. And it works. He caught a booster coming back from space with a claw. I watched that video probably 10 times before I realized just how impressive that was. My goodness. You know how many boosters we wasted during NASA's reign? Every one of them. And we used to put 3 and 4 on. And every one of them fell in the sea and sunk to the bottom of the ocean and is now a artificial reef somewhere. This guy comes out of nowhere and says, oh, I can't afford that. We got to reuse this stuff. So first he lands them in the water by parachute. Does a little damage, but nothing that he can't fix and redo. Then he gets it so it lands by retro rocket on a pad. Now he's plucking them out of the sky. Are we talking? We can't even say this is Star Wars shit, because remember in Star Wars, every one of the people in Star Wars was the worst shot in the world. Nobody could hit anything. It was amazing to me that they had these laser cannons and stuff, and they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. It kind of took a lot away from the movie for me, or the movies. Anyway, that's another story. So, get back to the whole topic of this. It's the misfit toys. Everybody's got something in their life that's a little loose, a loose screw or something they would like to improve on. I mean, whether it's your love life, your relationships, those are all broken things in your life. Maybe it's just not getting along with your next door neighbor. You're just not fitting in. You understand? But if we're all misfit toys, everybody belongs on the island. And I don't mean Epstein's island. I'm talking the island Earth. It is so important that you look at each individual. And when I'm saying individual, I'm talking about people. I'm not talking about anything other than being a human being. And anybody out there who thinks that there's something special, I want you right now to take a needle and poke your finger. And when the liquid comes out, tell me what color it is. Because that's all that matters. The redness of your blood, your ability to understand, be sensitive enough that you can accept other people for who they are. We are all misfit. So we were watching, as you know, I have 10 grandchildren and they spend a lot of time with me because, I dearly love them, even though I kid about them all the time. And we were watching Christmas movies, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Christmas Story and all that. It's tradition in my house that we overload on the movies, and then we don't want to see them till next year. Even sometimes I don't want to see them this year, but that's another story. So let's do a little commercial break and let's talk about aortic hope. These are people who have survived aortic disease. One of the most crushing diseases, can change your whole life, can dump your whole life where you have to start anew. There are so many people walking around America undiagnosed. It's scary. If you just take a minute and look up, Google it, you'll see how many people they think are walking around. They don't even know. Because in America, unlike Europe, they look for these things. In Europe, it's part of the protocol. In America, it's an option. You'll present with uh, chest pains or back pains, or as the gentleman said yesterday, just not feeling right. And they have a whole myriad of things they can pick from. And the last thing is aortic disease. So now when they start treating you for these other ailments, maybe it's contraindicated. Maybe they're going to do worse harm than good. So aortic hope is there to say, whoa, here's the protocol. Now, once you're surviving this, let's go to the next step. This is how you're going to put your life back together again in aortic disease. So like and subscribe, send them some jingle, aortic hope, patients, survivors, helping patients and survivors. God bless. All right, look, I got a short video because I told you we were watching Christmas videos, and it's a little bit longer than I like. It's like 6 minutes or so, maybe 7. But I'm going to break it up because I really want to correlate this into every daily's life. So if Josh would be so kind to start the video,
Well,
we'll.
December is here. Snow is falling, decorations are rising, and our wallets are getting thinner as we rush to buy perfect gifts for our loved ones. Or ourselves. Truly, Christmas is among us, which means we'll all celebrate our Christmas traditions. And of course, my Christmas traditions are making homemade apple cider, decorating, listening to Christmas music, and watching the classics on the TV. And my new tradition, examine every part of these classics and see where the secrets are that need to be answered. Honestly, I've been doing this a lot more lately with most media, mostly games and movies. But while I was scrolling through the internet, I noticed a lot of people seem to be focused on one detail from the Christmas classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And that thing isn't the fact that Santa's a jerk in the film. Well, maybe that plays a part in it. No, the real thing that people are asking is, why is this doll here from the film on the island of misfit toys? So that's what I'm going to try to answer today. Well, first, let's look.
All right. So there's a cynic among you, and I gotta blast him on this. His first reaction when we got to this part of the video was that the little girl's haircut was so horrendous that her parents kicked her out to the island of misfit toys. I want you to know that this is a person of dubious Christmas spirit. So, Josh, if not saying it's you, but it's you, could you play this video for us?
Look into what the island of misfit toys is. Well, truthfully, I don't need to go into a lot of detail here. The name of the island says it all. This is an island that is home to the misfit toys. Toys who have been abandoned by their owners cause they're misfits. They're weird and different. As shown in the film, you see a train with square wheels, a cowboy who rides an ostrich, and a boat who sinks. There are several more that are in fact different. But the one that people seem to be most confused about is the fact that the doll joins them on this island. When you look at her, you don't see anything out of the ordinary. She looks like a normal doll. So why is such a normal doll on the island that is meant for misfit toys? Well, I may have the answer. Now, to be weird or different,
Can you
many may
pause
think
it?
it would show.
All right. So, what do you think? Why is this almost perfect doll on the island of misfit toys? Because she ran away from the misfit Epstein. but that's another story. No, let's think about it. It could be a lot of things. She could be mentally ill. You can't see that disability. Maybe she's a diabetic. Maybe she has aortic aneurysm undiagnosed or diagnosed and waiting for it to explode in her chest because we can't operate until it gets to a certain size. Bullshit. It's one of those things in every parable, and this is a parable. This goes back, we're talking 79 AD. Aristotle in that group. Yeah, you didn't learn about that. I had to learn about it because I went through high school in the 60s, but all the rest of you went through high school when you learned about controlling your feelings in safe spaces. You didn't learn about the great philosophers and the meaning of life. But if you stick around with me, I'll teach you some of those things. All right, Josh, let's see what he has to say.
Show on the surface. I mean, all the other toys show on the outside, but what if the doll has something wrong on the inside that makes her a misfit? Please stay with me here. I believe what makes this doll a misfit is because she is dealing with a mental illness, most likely depression. Just hear me out on this one. What is the core message of this film? To accept everybody's differences. Rudolph's red nose, Hermie wanting to be a dentist, and of course the misfit toys. And all of these misfit toys have something that makes them a misfit. But this doll doesn't show anything on the outside. So the quote-unquote problem has to be on the inside. And the problem is that she has depression from the beginning. And the problem is that she has depression from being abandoned from her previous owner. Sure, all the other toys are sad, but whatever happened to her hit her so hard that she is now depressed as she feels unloved and abandoned. And even though this is all in her head, it is still very real for her. So I'm guessing this is how it went. She was abandoned by her owner.
Abandonment. How many people feel abandoned at this time of the year? How many people are working in a situation that they can't get home? How many people can't afford to get home? This is the time of the year when depression runs rampant. How do I know that? Because right now I'm going through a big depression and anxiety situation. My health has taken a little bit of a turn. We're just coming off Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday. So yeah, I'm dealing with that pressure to stay up in the presence of my grandchildren and family members and friends. I have that my left leg is gone very bad in the last 2 weeks, and nothing seems to be helping. Where I could actually physically or chemically do something to make my leg work or go through some type of extensive PT, nothing seems to be working right now. So I'm dealing with it. I hope that it's, I'm going to find a way around it, which I have for 13 years. But once again, it's hard. No matter how hard it is on you physically, mentally, it's worse. And there are people without people. There are people in situations right now that don't want to be there. So at this time of the year, depression is really important. You didn't realize that when you were watching this with your kids, right? That there's a backstory to this. Okay, let's play this.
And became sad with a frown on her face. And what kid would want to play with a doll that has a frown? So while the winged lion named King Moonracer, who brings the toys to the island until he can find a home for them and for children who will love them, he finds this sad doll and brings her to the island because to all of these kids, she is too different. And that is why she is on the island. Because her depression is considered to be too different. And why wouldn't it? As sad as this is, it makes sense. They considered Rudolph to be too different and act rude to him because of the way he was born. And they also act rudely towards Hermie, who just wants to help people with their teeth problems. And not just anybody, but Santa of all people, is rude to the people who are different. Santa, the one who judges children, on who's naughty and nice, the one who's supposedly the most holly and jolly person in the world is being rude and judgmental to those who are different. In this world, they judge those who are different, and this doll is considered to be a misfit because of her mental illness. I know this concept may seem crazy now, but a study by The Lancet back in 2012 had 1,082 adult participants who had major depressive disorder, and 79% reported that they have experienced discrimination for their mental illness. And this study was in
can we pause
2012.
this? Now let's extrapolate on this. Let's just expand a little bit. I have, if you see me sitting in my truck or standing somewhere or sitting somewhere, you don't know I have a disability because I look like everyone else. It's only until you see me getting in and out of my truck or you see me walking or I have Super Cooper with me because the side of his thing says service dog, do not pet. I've had people, when I've pulled into parking spaces, literally berate me until I get out and I put my double sticks out or I drop my walker, the wheeled walker I use sometimes, or my double sticks, as I call them. They hold onto your forearm and you put your hand on the bars. And, I like those because I can get through small areas. When I have the big walker, I can't get through it. Shit, I have to leave it by the door and then do the hand over hand, leaning on tables and walls till I get to my position. So I really do like the double sticks, but I'll do a handicap video one day and you can watch me fall down. It's very amusing. So let's get back.
Just
Look
imagine
at the
how bad
numbers
it was.
on this. Look at the numbers on this. It's just amazing to me that in 2012, this is 5 years before the pandemic. Or no, 7 years, right? 2019, guys. Isn't that when Wuhan didn't release the virus?
Yeah, we're right at 7 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was this is a small study, 1,000 people. Hemorrhoid cream gets a bigger study. We get 1,000 people. Hemorrhoid cream, the last study that they did had over 10,000 people putting cream on their butt. You got all these people. If 1,000 people, 79% of them been discriminated because of their disability or their depression, if we did a real study, what would the percentage be? And also factor in 79% are honest. There's probably another 20% who just don't want the stigma of it and won't admit it. It's like me. When I got depressed when I was younger, you'd have to cut it out of my heart because I wouldn't tell you. So this being a small study from 2012 cracks me up. All right, let's play the video.
How bad it was back in the 60s. As sad as this is, it makes a lot of sense why this doll was placed on the island of misfit toys. As real as her depression is, it seems too different for the children playing with her. And to add a cherry on top of this theory is what Arthur Rankin Jr., producer of the film, had to say about this very issue. According to a 1970 interview, which is being shown, Rankin said Dolly's problem was psychological, caused from being abandoned by her mistress and suffering from depression from feeling unloved.
And then there were also, of course, the characters from the Island of Misfit Toys, and the script, I'm sure, drove that in terms of what was wrong with each toy.
Yes.
Now, the little girl, what was wrong with the little girl? People always ask that.
I know. Why was she there? I always say, well, she had psychiatric problems.
So there we have it. In the 1964 classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the doll from the Island of Misfit Toys isn't there because she looks weird or has a weird name. No, it's because she's different. It's because she's suffering from depression because she was abandoned and now feels unloved. So while she may appear normal, her pain was real. So to everyone, Christmas.
All right. So we judge people. We judge people for many things. There was a time in my life I judged women by what they looked like, how they dressed, how available they were to me. Young guys do that. That's how you find a mate. Hopefully, you find a mate that isn't got a body count of, like 600 or something. Because today, it's back in the day when body counts meant something. You dated certain girls to party with, and you dated other girls to get married to. Is that chauvinistic? That's the way the 50s and 60s were. Now it's all different. Now you got fans only, which I just found out about, which is a pretty amazing sight. Do you understand how much money these people are making? And I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about guys too. Transsexuals, gay people. Everybody's making a ton of money on this app. How do you explain it to your 12-year-old son 15 years from now when he comes across mom doing feet videos, which is pretty tame compared to some of the stuff I've seen? Are they going to be the misfit toys of the future? We don't require our children to socialize in the real world anymore. We put them in safe spaces when they're outside the house. We don't kick them out of the house at 7:30 in the morning, and tell them to be home when the lights come on anymore. And you better survive, and you better make sure your brother survives or your sister because you're responsible. No, no, no. No, no. We've padded everything. We've observed everything. We have safe spaces. And even in the safe spaces, we put cameras. There's a bounce house here that when you go in, they have you download the app so you can watch the cameras. You're in the building with your children. You have to stay there with your children. But they still want you to be able to watch the cameras all over this huge facility. Ball pens and jumping trampolines and dodgeball and God knows. It's just incredible. It's like the size of an old 60s or 70s hangar. It's huge. And the kids love it. But even in this facility, I imagine there's bullying going on. I imagine there's people doing things that are not the safest thing in the world. Kids try to push the envelope. So their remedy, so you don't sue them, is installing all these cameras and giving you an app and telling you to scroll through the cameras and watch your children. Isn't that amazing? We are using technology to the point where it is in a safe space for children, and that space has to be monitored. Talk about broken toys. That whole society changed. I mean, anybody who has kids, and I'm going to widen this out from 5 all the way up to 20, who has been helicoptering parents to them who have never had them have to deal with any kind of conflict or anxiety. It's amazing to me. They're the new misfit toys, not me with my depression or aortic disease. And speaking of that, let's see, I have a commercial for PAD. PAD. What a great association. Go over and like and subscribe. Tell Kim I sent you. This is an organization that's saving limbs. Now, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s and even into the 80s, the only cure for people who had necrosis of whatever because of they were diabetic, was to cut it off. Are you kidding me? 19, are we, is that what we're doing? Like they used to do to the sailors out in the ocean, take an axe and cut their mangled arm off? Is that our still premise? That's crazy. So PAD is an association with these doctors involved that have all these other remedies. In other words, they try to fix the problem, not cut the problem off, starting at your toe and going up to your hip. See how amazing these people are? Please like, subscribe, you know, be there for the people in society that need you. And a caveat to this is, it is my belief, and we have a number of doctors in my family, that they have a cure for diabetes. Just the market is so great that they won't release it. That's controversial, but I'm going to put it out there. They have a cure for diabetes.
I want
But
to
they
say Japan just released that.
There are I'll go back to the 60s when the Cubans were working on this problem. And all these Cuban doctors went to France and Germany. And then all of a sudden you never heard about it again because the pharmaceutical companies bought them off. Now, Japan is another story, and I don't want to get into it because I don't want to water down this story about misfit toys. But it's something important that you could Google and see. My one brother-in-law, who's an MD, says they have a cure for the common cold. They've had it since World War II. But they won't put it out there because the pharmaceutical companies make so much money on antihistamines, decongestants, Tylenol. Why would they cut their throat and cure this? It makes no sense business-wise. And I imagine there's other diseases. Look at St. Jude. 80% of the children now survive. When Danny Thomas first started this back in 1951, 80% died. 80% died. And now in 2024, 80% live. Look at that number. Look at that advancement. And if you go back some of the old interviews with Danny Thomas, you'll see the pharmaceutical companies were not a help to him. In fact, they were a hindrance. Because cancer is a big market. Why would they want to cure cancer? Because the drugs are costing a fortune. Look at how much we pay for weight loss drugs that are supposed to handle diabetes, that don't handle diabetes. They don't help anything for diabetes, but you can actually lose weight on it. So while in Europe they're paying $100, was it $140? Got it written on the wall here. That's why I looked up, not to God, but to the wall. $140. In Canada they pay a little bit more, but in Mexico they pay $78 for a product that we spend over $1,000 for. Where is the reality, people? So let me finish up our commercial breaks and say, you guys ready to rock out? We're going to go in February. We partying hardy. Come get educated and come enjoy some rock and roll. All right, let's finish this up. Let's put a cap on it, nice bow. Let's clean this whole story up because, you know, it is the holiday season and you don't want to see this fat fire hydrant sitting in front of you too long. All right,
This is
let's
close,
play
and I can understand why this video may have brought a frown to your face. But remember, in the end of the film, Santa saved her and the other misfit toys, and she now has a new kid to play with her. things turned out well for her. And I want you to remember that if you have depression like Dolly here, I know things are hard, and I know the pain is real, but you are all strong, and soon, just like Dolly, happiness will come. I know it can seem hard while everyone is smiling for Christmas, while you are going through very real pain, but I know you are strong enough. And for anyone who knows anyone who struggles with depression, be patient with them, be understanding, and most importantly, be there for them. Because abandoning them would just make it so much worse, as they do not mean to push you away. Remember, just because you don't see it, doesn't make it any less real for them. And if you want to help support research to help those with depression or anxiety, please visit Brain and Behavior Research Foundation website to donate to help fund research on mental illnesses. Thank you everybody for watching, and I wish you a very Merry Christmas. See you next time.
So here I showed you a Christmas movie and I blew the bottom out of it for you. Isn't that terrible? And my grandchildren would be just so upset if they knew what I was doing. So when they watch this, they are actually going to, they're going to retaliate. So I got to be ready for it. And the dog likes the kids better than me. So that's not a defense. Handicaps are not always visible, is the whole point. Let me roll this into a ball and let you go back to your holiday celebrations. Everyone needs to be just a little bit kinder. 01/01/2005. Be better. Do better. Do the second thing. Understand that you can be a better person. You can be that example. Instead of pulling your phone out when there's somebody falling or somebody struggling and making a TikTok video of them, help them. Then make your TikTok video about you helping them. The world would be a better place. You understand? If there's a Karen fight in the parking lot over a parking space, don't take a video of it. Don't promote that stuff. If there's a black and white issue that isn't a black and white issue, it's just neighbors hating on one another, don't post a video and make it into a black and white thing. Understand we can do better. We can be better. If you see someone pulling into a handicapped spot, don't immediately assume that that person is just grabbing an open spot to run in the store for 4 things. He's going to run out and it's not anything to do with you. It is something to do with you because it's part of being social and involved. If the person gets out of the vehicle and doesn't look like they have a handicap, don't immediately assume this. Assume that their handicap is not visual to you, the outside public. And don't go over and question them. That's very embarrassing to be put on the spot like that. And it's against the law. You can't ask me why I have a service dog. You can't ask me what my disability is. Now, most of the time I'll volunteer because I want people to understand my disability because it doesn't show. I mean, I have a t-shirt that my doctor with a red magic marker, drew an aorta on my chest and all the parts while I was laying in the bed in ICU just to make the point of because I had no idea what an aorta did, where it was, and why it malfunctioned. In fact, I was the kind of jokester that said, can't you fix this with duct tape and super glue? Is there no, quick and dirty remedy so I can get back? I got 500 people to cook for. Christmas, it's 2 days before Christmas. I didn't say that, but it's always funny to think about somebody laying there in bed asking for duct tape and super glue. They're going to fix their own aorta. And that's a joke and nobody's laughing, but that's okay. A lot of my jokes, people don't laugh. Like and subscribe. understand that I don't argue with people anymore. I used to. I was great in arguments. Intimidation too, but I don't do that anymore because I'm not intimidating. A guy can't barely walk, can hardly be intimidating. You can be a better person. You can start on 0101-2025 and be a better person. Understand that it starts with you. The next time you look at the Misfit toys, you're never gonna enjoy it as much as after I blew your papa on that one. And I promise I'm not gonna do it to the rest of the videos that this guy went on a deep dive with, because I don't want to ruin my Christmas anyway. But this one was too important not to do. You know, I love you guys and I appreciate you. I love all your comments, even the nasty ones. I even love the trolls. I think they're really needed. You know, if you go out of your way to write a paragraph about how I'm wrong, you're really invested. I like that. I don't respond to it, but you're invested. If you spent, what is it, 10 minutes, 15 minutes sending off a paragraph about how I'm wrong and stupid and ugly and it shouldn't be on the internet, that's bathroom reading to me. Yeah, I gotta have something to do in the bathroom, right? All right. Like, subscribe, share, comment. I'll give Josh 3 minutes. He can tell you what a nice guy I am, why you should stick around, that the channel has a big future. We just had a corporate meeting. Joshua, how was your Thanksgiving?
It went pretty well. Ate a lot, drank a lot. It's good.
Good for you.
Very good, yeah.
I heard you went to a comedy show. How was that?
Brian Callen was at Magoobies this past weekend, this weekend that we're in right now. And if you're not familiar with Brian Callen, he is a very animated comic. So he's all over the stage. He throws his whole being into his comedy, and he is absolutely hilarious. But what is very awesome about him is after the second show, we went and we saw the first show. And we stayed, and at Magoobies, there's a place called the Wits End Saloon, which is where you can go for drinks after your show. And beautiful bar, nice little area. So we're sitting there just having drinks, and after the second show, Brian Callen breezes into the room and just starts being a social butterfly, chit-chatting with everybody, shaking hands, thanking everybody for being there. And my buddy was like, I've never seen a comic do that here. So shout out to Brian Callen. Thank you very much for making that evening even more amazing than it already was.
God bless. Good people doing good things, right?
Goddamn
good
right.
People remembering the people that made them. I mean, jumping in your limo like Taylor and speeding off to their secure location is one way to handle celebrity. But this gentleman obviously still in touch with his audience, which is great. I remember Richard Pryor in Harlem. That'll tell you how far back I go. Who would work the entire dining room. After his set, he went from table to table. This is Richard Pryor. He was one of the huge comedians of the 70s and 80s. Bigger than Eddie Murphy. He would literally work the room. And if you asked him about it, he said, this is what Sinatra does. This is what I'm going to do. Not good enough to do a good show. You have to be among the people that appreciate you. Isn't that a great mentality? Isn't it wonderful? I love seeing these celebrities now that brush past their admirers, don't even sign. Or if they do take a selfie, it's like, you better get it in 8 seconds because they're moving on. Or they just come out with 6 bodyguards. You barely see them between the bodyguards. They jump into a huge SUV, armored up, and they drive away. You just spent $300 for orchestra seats to see this singer, comedian, whatever it is, and they're too busy to stop. In fact, if you want to go down the rabbit hole on this, Google Taylor Swift and see what her interaction is on the community side. I'm not going to say anything about it, just Google it and just figure out where this woman's bread is buttered.
So
it certainly is for her fans.
I have this project that I've been thinking about. It's an all-boy Taylor Swift cover band called T Swifticles.
Oh shit, that's funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny. All right. Like, subscribe. We're going to get Josh on here and he's going to explain that because that's going to take way too much time. And that's going to be a funny situation. All right. Like, subscribe, comment, tell everybody in the world about me. Mostly tell the people that disagree with me because I love them. I love you guys. All God's blessings. Make sure that you're safe over the holidays. If you're dealing with depression, get help. Send me an email. You know, I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt and don't want to go back, but I go back periodically. I always hear the footsteps. I'm like a football player. I'm running for the goal line and I hear all these footsteps behind me. So I know there's more people dealing with depression than just me. I'm appreciative of Josh because he opened this door for me. I walked through it. I'm totally committed to it. We're going to change some things that aren't working. We're going to emphasize things that are working, like this interaction with videos. Much more positive than me standing here or sitting here and talking for an hour. Everybody seems to like the correlation videos. Never had a negative comment yet. So, like, subscribe, comment, tell Josh how handsome he is because, you know, everybody needs reinforcement. I'm Tom Neuwedner, the conversationalist. I'm out of here.